Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to discuss a famous poem, Preludes, written by T.S. Eliot. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin this poetic journey. T.S. Eliot, his full name being Thomas Stearns Eliot, was a famous American-British poet, essayist, playwright, and a literary critic. Born on September 26, 1888, he became one of the most influential figures in the 20th century literature. His notable works include the most famous poems like The Wasteland, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and Four Quartets. He even received the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1948 and died on January 6, 1965. The title Preludes suggests that the poem serves as a kind of introduction or a preliminary exploration of the themes and ideas which Eliot would later use in his other works he would elaborate on in his more complex works of literature in time to come. Preludes was written in the year 1910 and later published in 1917. Now this poem is considered a kind of an introduction to Eliot's more famous and complex later works of literature. It reflects on the poet's disillusionment, his sense of he's not being able to find a meaning, he's finding everything vague in the modern urban environment, and he captures the fragmented, disoriented, unorganized nature of the contemporary or the modern life. Now the poem explores the degradation and monotony of city life, offering a portrayal of how human beings survive in the present urban environment. Remember, this is a modern poem, so here we will be seeing how the change to a modern way of living was affecting the people in those times. Now let's decode the line-by-line meaning of the poem. In stanza 1 or part 1, he says, "The winter evening settles down with smells of steaks in passageways. 6 o'clock, the burnt-out ends of smoky days. And now a gusty shower wraps the grimy scraps of withered leaves about your feet, and newspapers from vacant lots. The showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots, and at the corner of the street a lonely cab horse steams and stamps, and then the lighting of the lamps." Now if you see, there is a kind of disconnectedness in the lines of the poem. There's no connection. Randomly, abruptly, the lines of the poem are placed. Now let's see how. The poem begins with a description of a winter evening, setting the tone for a bleak, dark, gloomy atmosphere. The smell of steaks and the burnt-out remains of the day indicate a sense of decay and exhaustion. He's saying the burnt-out ends of smoky days. It means that there is already a sense of decay of things becoming over now. The gusty shower and the grimy scraps of withered leaves over here symbolize that even nature is now deteriorating in the urban landscape. As there was a shift from the country or the village to the urban setup, nature was losing its importance, especially in the modern 20th century world of those times. Nature was losing it also after the onset of industrialization, remember. After that, he says, the lonely cab horse represents a forgotten, worn-out existence, because nowadays cab horses, like the time when he was writing, cab horses were no longer of importance. So we see that the stanza ends with the lighting of the lamps, signifying the onset or the beginning of darkness, and there is already use of artificial means of lighting that cannot even try to remove the gloom. No matter how much you light up the lights, it is not going to take away the gloominess, the sadness from the situation. Part 2. The morning comes to consciousness of faint, stale smells of beer from the sawdust trampled street with all its muddy feet that press to early coffee stands. With the other masquerades, the time resumes. One thinks of all the hands that are raising dingy shades in 1,000 furnished rooms. So now let's see. Now these few lines over here suggest that morning has set in. The morning is introduced with an awareness of the stale smell of beer all around and muddy feet, emphasizing how the environment is also not looking clean. It's got a kind of a grayish shade all around, a foul smell, not the early fresh smell that comes in the morning. The mention of early coffee stands and the masquerades suggests the routine and superficiality of urban life. That what is it that people do in the modern life? They visit coffee shops or they are attending masquerades. But if you go back and turn back to the pages of history, people would spend time amidst nature. That, according to Eliot, was something which was true, but it's being lost. The hands raising dingy shades in furnished rooms refers to the monotonous state of existence and how these hands do not have name. There is anonymity in the daily existence. There are individuals who are being reduced to mere shadows. Every day these individuals are setting out to carry out their daily routines which are boring, and they have no other option but to live that mechanical state of detached existence in the modern life. In part 3, he describes a personal experience of waiting during the night. The speaker tosses a blanket aside and thinks about the sordid images of the soul which flicker against the ceiling. He's imagining all the very, the sad, the gloomy images, and it feels as if they are all on display on the ceiling of his room. The vision of the street at dawn is presented as something the street itself cannot understand. The speaker is in a state of vulnerability. He's feeling weak. He curls papers from their hair and thinks about whether the world is going to awaken to this weird state of existence that the world is in. At 4, his soul stretched tight across the skies that fade behind a city block or trampled by insistent feet at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock, and short square fingers stuffing pipes and evening newspapers, and eyes assured of certain certainties, the conscience of a blackened street impatient to assume the world. I am moved by fancies that are curled around the images and cling the notion of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. Wipe your hand across your mouth and laugh. The worlds revolve like ancient women gathering fuel in vacant lots. So basically over here in part 4 we see that the soul of an individual is being described as stretched out tight across the sky, suggesting the vast but restricted sense of existence. The constant trampling of feet and the monotonous mundane activities at 4, 5 and 6 o'clock further emphasize the dehumanizing impact of city life, where there's no rest. There's a mechanical, robotic kind of an existence. The speaker is moved by the fanciful thoughts. He's finding solace, peace in the idea of an infinitely gentle suffering thing. The closing lines of the poem encourage a detached response to the challenges of life. He is urging the individuals to laugh in the face of the world's cyclical nature, to laugh even when times are difficult. We can understand the poem further at 4 levels. Firstly, the poem portrays the decay of the urban environment, highlighting the physical and moral deterioration of the city. Eliot also explores the theme of isolation, loneliness, alienation, depicting individuals as being disconnected from each other and from a meaningful existence in the urban landscape. Thirdly, the poem highlights the monotony, the boring state of existence in the routine of modern life, where daily activities are reduced to mere rituals that offer hardly any kind of satisfaction. And lastly, there is a sense of spiritual emptiness in people, suggesting that there is loss of higher values in the face of this industrial progress and urbanization. And I think the poem is relevant even in today's times. Hardly is there any importance given to spiritual values, to moral values, because people are just running behind materialistic things. So that is exactly what Eliot had predicted and written about in those times, and maybe the context might have changed with advancement over time, but situation has not changed as much as it had at that time. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.